We're just people. Flawed people.
We have chosen each other. Come here.
How did you two meet?
Ginny is my dental hygienist.
I get it. She's young and hot, right?
Don't see a ton of upside for me in answering that. I'd like to make a toast to friends, family, and finding your soulmate.
While I have been guilty at times for fixating my criticism on Hollywood pushing its obsessive woke agenda in every new release, to relay a message with little subtlety or, well, creativity, the constant argument that something is woke and is therefore bad becomes equally tired and stale. To the remake, and while this seems a more egregious development of late, just rehashing what proved prior successful, I mean, seldom does a large blockbuster in recent times undergo release, take flight, and that isn't part of a long-standing franchise, a spin-off, prequel, sequel, or remake. For Mind, among the most absurd tropes of current times is with remaking a classic or well-recognised past cinematic offering with merely a palette swapping of the protagonist, and not a whole lot else. It reminds of those old arcade video games that regurgitated the recurrent slate of enemies to wail upon. It's just repetitive and lazy, with Disney often appearing the more imaginatively bankrupt among the largest corporates. I have always argued that there's plenty of material available, and there must be more satisfying stories that introduce new ideas, and which can create memorable and inspiring roles for ambitious actors and actresses across the spectrum of different races, ethnicities, and beliefs. Still, I have no problem with taking a more obscure property, to attempt to breathe new life into it, and hopefully, with some innovation and polish, to produce something entirely new, unique, and even enjoyable. With the fourth season, starring Steve Carell and Tina Fey, I'm not convinced it entirely succeeds here in remaking Alan Alda's 1981 effort. Unfortunately, the jokes would often fall flat, and it quickly became increasingly cynical and unpleasant. I kept wondering throughout whether it was intended for us, as the audience, to like, to relate, and to connect with any of these miserable people. Erica Henningsen's Ginny might be the most likeable character involved in the narrative. Despite the cliché and stereotypical cross-generational takes and excessive attempts to make her seem hopelessly naive, or just another quirky millennial, she was by far the one who possessed of the most positive energy. Steve Carell's Nick wasn't exactly the most endearing, nor did he have any of that awkward and uncomfortable, albeit sometimes charming demeanour that he often brings to other roles. He's simply that older guy pursuing the younger lady, his wife having given up. And to be fair to Nick, from the outset with the cringe-inducing renewal of vows, it's difficult to not take his side on this one. You then have Tina Fey's Kate and her toxic relationship with Will Fort's Jack, where she constantly belittles him, and we have to endure his limp-wristed resistance, patiently waiting for this character to grow a spine. It becomes a slow and tedious burn watching these two drift apart, then rekindle some kind of romance through forced contrivance. Lastly, there's Coleman Domingo's Danny and Marco Calvani's Claude. While there's certainly a heavy leaning into stereotype, and through the character of Claude in particular, I actually found them the most enjoyable couple. Sure, they're extremely dysfunctional, highly exaggerated, not exactly the most happy, positive, and well-rounded characters either, but I did receive some genuine laughs from Calvani's smothering intensity. But what one person finds funny, another can find insufferable. Still, and for argument's sake, this pairing also had better chemistry, shared a few decent moments when communicating their own frustrations, and their cartoonish silliness might have helped elsewhere, and with other characters rather than the more monotonous and stilted fare otherwise delivered. I did not hate the 4 seasons. Even if a little shallow and pessimistic, at times there were laughs to be had, and it was a fairly easy binge. However, am I up for a second season as teased within the finale's cliffhanger?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!